Hello everyone, I'm Teacher Raccoon. Today, we're going to look at Gigo set number 7142, Creator Legend Glory Gems. This is our first board game based on building blocks. It is a simple game, so you can pick it up quickly. These are all the characters we'll use in the board game. Today, I'll introduce the scientific principles are used and characters for this set. Let's check it out. Our guardians are divided into 3 categories. The first is the Monster Guardian. The second is the Weapon Guardian. The third is the Vehicle Guardian. Because this board game is suitable for 2 to 4 people, we have to choose one of guardians out of the 3 categories just mentioned. Suppose I choose the Monster Guardian. There will be 4 guardians. We then use these 4 guardians to play the game. Each guardian has 4 tribes of different colors. They are Blue Iceland, Green Giant Wood, Red Volcano, and Pink Pollen, making a total of 12 guardians. We'll introduce them individually later. All the monster guardians are here on the table. From left to right are Thebathim of Volcano, Esmeralda of Giant Wood, Sapphire Rose of Pollen, and Nilar of Iceland. Let's look at Thebathim first. Thebathim's feature is that its arms spin backward when it moves forward. Why? Because if you turn it around, you can see the 2 connected gears in Thebathim's body. This system, where 2 gears connect like this, is called gear meshing. The most significant feature of meshing gear is that it can change the direction of rotation of gears. If one gear rotates clockwise, then the other gear that meshes with it will rotate counterclockwise. Okay, now I have a question for you. Take a look at this picture. It has a lot of meshing gears. Suppose the leftmost gear rotates clockwise. Which direction do you think the rightmost gear will rotate? If you know the answer, leave a comment below. Now that you know that, you can also think about how to make Thebathim spin its arms forward when moving about. Next, let's look at Esmeralda. We can see her arms move back and forth while walking. This is because it uses a device called a connecting rod. As the name suggests, a connecting rod connects 2 or more freely movable crossbars together. There are many types of connecting rod. The types you'll find most often in everyday life are the cross-connecting rod and the parallel connecting rod. The cross-connecting rod makes a link crosswise and then extend. Inward force can extend the connecting rod, and external force can shorten the connecting rod. The parallel connecting rod uses a total of 4 connecting rods. No matter how you rotate it, rods in the same direction will always be parallel. Parallel connecting rods are often used in windshield wipers. Because they remain parallel to each other, the wipers don't collide. It can also be used to simulate the steering mechanism of a car that helps to stabilize the wheels. To do more with this action, we can connect the connecting rod to a gear and use the principle of eccentricity to make the rod reciprocate a particular way. Right, now let's look at the Pollen Guardian, Sapphire Rose. This also uses the concept of eccentricity. We can see that Sapphire Rose's head will keep spinning as it moves. This is because we use a component called cam connector. We put a cam connector on Sapphire Rose's neck, then insert it into the hole on the side of the gear. After inserting it, Sapphire Rose's neck will rotate with the gear as we turn the gear. Next, we insert 2 axle connectors behind Sapphire Rose. These 2 axle connectors are like tracks. They restrict the direction of rotation of Sapphire Rose's neck and keep the face toward the front. Without these 2 axle connectors, its neck will keep spinning with the gears. The last monster guardian we are going to introduce is Nilar of Iceland. Nilar will move its head up and down like as it moves. Isn't it cute? Nilar's body uses a cam device. An axle that can rotate freely must be held above the cam. Then, when the cam starts to rotate, the axle will move up and down due to the height change caused by the cam rotation. There are many different shapes a cam can be, such as round, egg shape, snail shape, etc. Different shaped cams produce different movement effects. The egg-shaped cam moves up and down slowly, like Nilar. The snail-shaped cam will slowly draw the axle to the highest point and then suddenly drop to the lowest point. Okay, now we've seen all the monster guardians. Now, let's take a look at the vehicle guardians. From left to right are the leaves of the mother tree of the giant wood, heart of the ocean abyss of Iceland, love goddess of destiny from pollen, and the last one is the eternal sunlight from volcano. Let's begin with the leaves of the mother tree from the giant wood. It looks like a cute motorcycle. There is even a side pillar next to it. If we bring this side post back down, the whole motorcycle falls backwards. Have you ever wondered why a motorcycle doesn't tip over when it is moving? When a motorcycle is stationary, it falls sideways because of gravity. However, when the wheels of motorcycles spin, they produce a physical effect called angular momentum. One characteristic of angular momentum is that its direction is difficult to change, and in this case, the direction of angular momentum is perpendicular to the wheel. This means that the motorcycle can stay upright even though gravity is pulling down on it. When a motorcycle slows down and stops, angular momentum gradually decreases until it is less than the gravitational force, and then the motorcycle falls over. Next, we are going to introduce the heart of the ocean abyss and love goddess of destiny. You can see that they have more than two wheels, so they can both stand upright on the table without falling over. If you give it a push, you'll see that they go some distance before slowly coming to a stop. This is because there's a force called friction between the gears and the floor. Friction is the force generated when two objects slide or rub against each other. Many applications in life are related to friction. For example, the soles of shoes and tires all have designs to increase friction to prevent slipping and sliding. Lubricating oil is often added to gear systems in cars to prevent the gears from producing too much friction. Okay, the last vehicle guardian we are going to see is eternal sunlight. You can see that it looks like a helicopter. When we rotate the back black axle, it drives the upper propeller, causing it to rotate. Here, we can see the application of a reducing gear ratio. What is a gear reduction ratio? When a 20-tooth small gear drives a 40-tooth large gear, the smaller gear rotates one turn, while the larger gear only rotates half a turn. This produces a slowing effect. Although the speed slowed down, however, the torque was increased relative to the ratio. This principle is often seen in daily life, like when we ride bicycles. If we need to ride up a hill, we will use the low gear. Although the speed is slower, it will be easier to turn the pedals. For now, let's examine the weapon guardians. Our weapon guardians from left to right are Diamat's grindstone from the giant wood, Kamadiva's wing from pollen, Jurong's hands from volcano, and Anubis's scale from Iceland. Let's begin with Diamat's grindstone from the giant wood. Diamat's grindstone works when you turn the gear on the side, which drives the gear above it to make a rotating motion. The reason for this is that it uses vertical meshing, the same vertical meshing system just mentioned. The key to vertical meshing lies in the gears. These gears are bevel gears. You can always tell if a gear is a bevel gear by turning it sideways to see if it has a beveled edge. This one here has a 45-degree bevel. Its teeth have straight-edged part and a beveled part so that its teeth can still mesh and transfer power, direction, and motion. So we want these gears to mesh vertically like this. When we turn Diamat's grindstone, the gears mesh at 90 degrees because of the two 45-degree bevels. Okay, now we're going to look at Kamadiva's wing. Kamadiva's wing moves when you rotate the large gear at the back. After turning it, the gears in front of Kamadiva's wing rotate quickly. This applies an accelerating gear ratio, which is opposite to eternal sunlight that we saw earlier. Eternal sunlight uses deceleration, but Kamadiva's wing uses acceleration. An accelerating gear ratio uses a larger gear to drive a smaller gear. Here are two 40-tooth large gears. Here are two 20-tooth small gears. Okay, we have a set here. When the 40-tooth large gear drives the 20-tooth small gear, it doubles the speed of the smaller one. Next, we can see that because these two gears are on the same axle, the speed of these two gears will be the same. Therefore, it will be twice as fast. Here is another accelerating gear ratio. So the 40-tooth gear again drives the 20-tooth gear, doubling the speed. I mentioned that there is a speed doubling gear system, and here is another speed doubling system. So if we add those together, this axle will spin at 4 times the speed as it moves Kamadiva's wing. Okay, the next one is Jurong's hands. Jurong's hands is operated by turning the gear underneath, which drives Jurong's hands to make periodic swings up and down. Speaking of periodic swings, we have to mention Nilar. Right, they all use the cam device we talked about. You can see that Nilar and Jurong's hands both use a cam device. They all use this 3-hole round rod. You can see over here that the biggest difference is that Nilar's cam has an axle above it. See here? But Jurong's hands holds the round rod below, like this. The rod below him swings with the cam. So why is the rod underneath like this? Turn it around and you'll see we use an axle connector as a lever to change the direction of force. In this way, the entire lever goes up against the cam. When we spin it, there's a feeling of shaking up and down. Now let's introduce our last weapon guardian, Anubis's scale. Since it is a scale, that means it can measure weight. When we put a building block here, the heavier side will go down. When we put the same type building block on the other side, it balances out because the weights on either side are equal. Well, these are the models and scientific principles for Gigo set number 7142 Creator Legend Glory Gems. If you like this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. I'm Teacher Raccoon. See you next time. Bye!